All right, so what I've done, so what we're talking about today again is we're talking about inheritance. Okay. Now, inheritance is a massive part of programming, and I told you guys that your next test, your next test is probably going to be right before Thanksgiving. So we pretty much have the rest of this week, all of next week, and that's it, right? Pretty much all of next week, and then that's it. So what we're going to do, so we have grandfather, we have tester. Now, what I want you to do is this. So we have grandfather, we have tester. Okay, so let's go to the super class, okay? All right, so the grandfather, okay? Now we're gonna work with this a little bit. So we're just gonna get an introduction to inheritance, and then we're gonna move on to arrays, and then we'll come back to inheritance and start tying things together because we have other things that we have to do with inheritance, okay? So for grandfather, okay, let's go ahead and let's say, we'll say int age, okay? Actually, you know what? This is actually, I don't like this one. I'm going to delete this. Okay, I'm going to delete this. Make it, this one's a better way to do it. I'm going to make a new project. I'm going to call it student. Okay. I'm going to create a student class. So go ahead and do this. This one's going to be this way. I don't even know why I bother doing this. Okay. Student, and then we're going to go to another class and we're going to call this tester. Finish. There we go. Okay. So as you can see, I've got my student class and I got my tester class. Okay. So in the student class, okay, name some things that a student would have. Name some global variables.
A name.
String name. Okay. What else?
A grade.
An
Int
age.
grade. Okay. And we'll say int age. Okay. First of all, what's wrong with my code already? You guys should have corrected this already.
Nothing is private.
Everything, exactly. Private. Okay. So private, and private. Okay. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to make a constructor. What is the signature for my constructor, Uma?
The signature?
Yeah, what would it be? Like the public part.
Wouldn't it be a public?
Public?
Would it be public name?
Nope. What's the name of the constructor is always public and the name of the class.
This would be public student.
Public student.
Okay.
Do I need parameters? Yes or no?
No.
Yes, I do. Okay, so I need string name. Okay, actually, for right now, I can minimize that. String name, int grade, and int age. Correct? Because I want to initialize all the global variables. Okay, so I'm going to say this dot name equals name. This dot grade equals grade. And then last, this dot age equals age. Okay, so all of you take a second to go ahead and get caught up with that. Okay. All right. How are we doing? Are we good?
Yep.
So we have our constructor that initializes all the global variables. Do we have any confusion over that? Are we all good?
We all good.
Okay. All right. So now, okay, the next thing is this. All right, public student, yada, yada, yada. So the next thing that we're going to do is we are going to go ahead. I want you guys to take a few minutes and do getters and setters for all of these. For right now, do not make a toString, okay? Okay, so these are my, what's another word for them? Accessors. And here are my mutators. Okay. And then what I'm going to do is, actually, you know what? For right now, just go ahead and just go ahead and, what's it called? Go up for, at least for right now, just go ahead and just do, for right now, go ahead and just do the getters, okay? I also want you to go ahead, I forgot to do this, make an overloaded constructor, okay? Make a default constructor. And set everything to null or 0. All right, okay. Now, hold on one second. Give me 1 second. All right, so next thing we know, here we go. So now what we're going to do is we're going to work with, okay, we need to figure out one method, okay? We need to figure out one method, all right? All right, so the method, what's a method? What's something that a student is capable of doing?
Homework.
Okay,
They grow up.
they grow up, yes.
They take a test.
Let's say voting. Let's say can vote, okay? Because right now a student can't vote, correct?
Yes.
Standard student can't vote. So we'll say public. We'll just say public void can vote. And what we'll do is we'll say sys out student, or you can't vote. Okay, so we have that, right? So we have this method, okay? So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to go outside of the class, okay? I'm going to go outside of the class, all right? Now, in inheritance, okay? Inheritance is basically a way for you to make a more advanced class while inheriting the properties of this, okay? It's reverse inheritance, okay? So for example, a student has an age, a grade, or whatever, okay? Let's make a new class. Public class college student, okay? Public class college student. And what we're going to do now is we're going to learn a new keyword, extends student, okay? Public class college student extends student, all right? No, it shouldn't. Oh, I hate the way that it does this. It shouldn't have to be. Public class student. Oh, I hate the way that it does this. Nope. Hold on. Let me see something real quick. Oh, I think I have to just get rid of. Hold on. There's something here that's tricky with, there it is. Okay. So you can just say, so get rid of public up here on the one, just call it class student. Okay. this is something it's normal in other words to write public, but in Eclipse it's something funny. I don't know why. So class, college student, extends student. Okay. What you have just done, is college student has now gotten everything that is inside student. Okay, so if I now go into my tester class, I can say, let's say student X equals new student. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to leave it like this, right? Okay, I'm going to leave it, I'll say, yeah, I'll just leave it like this. Okay, and then I'm going to say college student Y equals new college student. Okay, now take a look what happens, all right? So now if I were to run, let's say I wanted to say Y dot, you'll notice that Y dot has can vote, get class, get grade, get name. Okay, so if I do get name, what's gonna print out? If I print,
Nothing.
are you sure about that?
Oh, it's gonna print out
No.
null. No.
Do not say nothing. It is not the same thing. Okay, so I'm gonna say sys out, and this is gonna say null. So if I run this, okay, where is it? Save it. Okay, it should print out null. I don't know why it's not. Oh, it does. You know what? I initialized it. I actually initialized it. It is actually going to say nothing because I did technically initialize it to null. If I did 5 and then I ran it, it would print 5. Okay, so everything that has happened there, okay, we use the keyword extends. Okay, the subclass extends the superclass. Remember that. The subclass extends the superclass. Now, you won't ever get anything like this. This is almost too easy, okay? This is because what happens is, remember that we have something called, we have 2 constructors. When we have 2 constructors, what is the one that takes precedence? What is the one that takes precedence?
The first one.
The default constructor, right? So what I'm going to do for right now is I'm going to get rid of that default constructor. I'm going to save this and now take a look. Okay. We have an error now. Okay. So if I go here, you'll notice that this is now red. The reason why is this. Okay. The reason why is because if the superclass has a constructor, that takes parameters, the subclass must also have a constructor that takes parameters in that exact order. Okay, so what we're going to do now is this: public college student. Okay, and what we're going to do is we're going to say string name int grade and int age. Can you guys still see? I just minimized it. Can you guys still see okay? Okay, so I'm going to do that. I'm going to hit enter. Now what we're going to do is we're going to use a new keyword. Okay, public college student, string name, int grade, int age. Okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to use the keyword super. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to say name, grade, age. Now super is a keyword that is basically saying, okay, you're taking the parameters, that's great. Okay, you're taking parameters, that's wonderful. But what I want you to do is when you get these, super basically says, okay, initialize them the same way you did it up here. Do exact with these parameters, initialize them the same way that you did them up here. Okay, name is going to go into name, grade is going to go into grade, age is going to go into age. For all intents and purposes, keep them in the right order. The way that you did it up here, name, grade, age, name, grade, age. You don't want to do name, age, grade, okay, or name, okay? You don't want to do that, so just follow protocol, okay? So again, the keyword here is super, okay? Now, super has a lot of uses, okay? Key thing though with the super classes is, what is something that a college student can do that a normal student can't do?
Vote.
Vote.
Okay, besides that. We'll get to that later.
Drink.
We'll say drink. You, depending on they're 21 or not, okay? Okay, so what we're going to say is Boolean drink, okay? Let's say Boolean drink, and what we're going to do is we're going to take in Boolean drink here as well. And we're going to say this dot drink equals drink, okay? Now, notice what I did. Super took care of all of this, okay? Super took care of all of this, all right? Now, some of you will make this mistake. So for example, if I go to new college student now and I do John, oops, hold on. Let me wipe this over, bring this over. So I'll say John, 12, and then age is 21, okay? And we'll say true, all right? So he's met all the parameters. This is Jane, 9, 14, okay? Notice that all the parameters are met. So when I do system.out.println y dot or get name, and I run this, okay, it gets John. Notice that I followed all the parameters. I followed all the rules, okay, in order to, in order for inheritance to work, okay? Now, this is something that you would be tested on the AP. This is something that is extremely, extremely important in computer science, okay? Inheritance is a big time deal, and for some reason, people don't get it, okay? Now, another thing with inheritance is sometimes I get people that do this. They'll do this. They'll forget by accident, and they'll do string name. Okay, by the way, make it private and private. Okay. All right. So they'll do this. Okay. They'll do this by accident. Okay. The minute that you do this, it basically screws this up. Okay. It overwrites it. We're going to get into overwriting in a little bit, but the key thing is this. If you're going to make new variables, okay, understand that you are going to inherit all of these variables. Okay, you're going to inherit all of these variables. All right. Now, another thing, okay, so this is why. This is why we have these getters. Let's make a two-string. Okay. So with inheritance, let's go over a couple of things with inheritance. Rule number one with inheritance. The subclass extends the superclass. You will literally, if you, let's say you're asked to write a class on inheritance, you will get a point for the use of extends, understanding that extends is a keyword, okay? Rule number two, if the superclass has a constructor that accepts parameters, and I'm gonna tell you right now, 99% of the time it will. 99% of the time it will. Then the subclass needs a method or needs a constructor that accepts parameters. Now, the good thing is, rather than having to go through this.name, this.grade, as long as they're in the same order, you can use the super keyword. Super basically says, okay, initialize these the way that you would normally, okay? And now also kind of rule number 3B, super must be the first line in the constructor. Notice that I did this afterwards. Do not do this, okay? Notice that it made an error. Don't do that. Super is always the first line in your constructor, okay? Always, okay? Now, one of the last things that we're going to cover today before we go move back on to arrays, we're going to talk about a little bit of inheritance a little more. We're actually going to talk about inheritance, guys, a lot more. Okay, but this is kind of like right now we're just kind of getting into the groove, the swing of things. Okay, so class, college student. Okay, so let's make the toString. Okay, return, and we're going to say name plus bingo. Here is the error. Okay, notice that I can't use the variable name. I can't even use this dot name. Okay, notice it doesn't work. When you use inheritance, you lose direct access to the variables. This is where getters and setters are super important. You might need to change the name of the college student. You lose direct access. However, I can get name. I've inherited that method. That is the middleman. That is why your superclass needs getters and setters. Because when you start using inheritance, you're going to need to get that name. You're going to need to be able to change that name. You lose direct access of being able to do it in the subclass. That's where the setters come in. So now if I say name and then I just say age, okay? And then let's just say I do these just for right now. Okay. Now I could, now some people like to say you can also say this dot get age. We're not going to do that. Okay. You can use this with methods. We're not going to do that. So right now, if I were to just print out Y, name John, age 21. But I want you to notice something else. Okay. What if I do X? Memory address. The reason why inheritance doesn't work going up. Okay. Student has no idea. Student in all college student. So college student can do everything that student can do. Okay. With the exception of it has a toString and it's got for some reason you guys chose drinking. Okay. As your extra variable. Okay. So it's capable of doing all of the things that student can do and more. But it doesn't go up. Student has no idea you made those changes. Student does not have a Boolean drink. Okay? Student doesn't have a Boolean drink method or Boolean drink variable. Okay? It doesn't have a toString variable. Inheritance doesn't work its way up. Okay? It's all top down. So for example, you inherited, say your grandfather. Your father inherited things from your grandfather. Your son inherits things that your father and your grandfather possibly had. Okay, it worked. That's kind of why they call it inheritance. Okay, so this is where we're going to stop today. Okay, I want to kind of give you guys a homework assignment. I'm gonna look through and just kind of see if I can find like a little small one. But the key rules, again, if we're to cover them, is 1, the use of the extends keyword. The subclass extends the superclass. 2, if you have a constructor with parameters, your subclass must have a constructor with at minimum the same parameters in the same order. Okay. 3, super, which must be the first line of the constructor, needs to be used. And you basically, again, this is saying initialize this constructor with the values that you took the same way that you did it in the student class. Okay. And then 4, you lose direct access to variables. Now, could I get the variables back? Yes, I could change them to public and then I would get them back. Never do that. That is why we have getters and setters. Okay. That is the beginnings of inheritance. And we are going to work on this nonstop, guys. We're basically, I'll devote classes to, okay, guys, write a class that does this, this, this. But what you're gonna slowly start seeing me pick up the language. And what I mean by pick up the language is you're slowly gonna start hearing me use a little bit more grammatically hard to figure out language. And I'm not trying to do that to be mean. I'm trying to do that so that you guys can get into the habit of understanding or like kind of deciphering what the AP would ask you, because they're going to be talking in that same lingo. How many of you guys thought it would be a lot easier if the question just said anything higher than limit, just override it to limit. Anything lower than limit, just override it to lower limit. How many of you thought the question would be easier if they said, you know what, just get rid of all the zero, anything that's 0 in the beginning, just get rid of, make a new array, and then just make the array the size of, you know, the original array without the 0, and then overwrite. How many of you guys would have thought that's easier? If they would just say something like that, most of my students historically probably would get 5s on the AP, but they like to think that it's a grammar test as well. Okay, so any questions on inheritance, guys? And again, do not be surprised, guys, if I redo this lesson over and over. If some of you get it on the first try, guess what? Good. My goal is to make this boring for you, because if it's boring for you, it's easy. And if it's easy to you, you're good. That's my goal. Inheritance again. Okay, quick, easy points. That's where I need you guys to get to. Some people like Yuban may never get there, but everyone else has the capability. It's a Korean thing. You guys want to understand. Okay, so because Yuban's like, yep, that's true. Yep, that's true. A good sport, Yuban. You're a good sport. All right, so, okay, Logan, bruh. I just see you there chilling, bruh. How we all good? Yeah? Yeah, bruh? All right. Okay, all right. So that being said, does anybody have any questions? Guys, we have the time. I can cover anything. I can repeat anything. We have the time. Yeah, Uma. Uma and then Ian.
Could you just like quickly like re-explain what like the extension does, like the class when it like extends a.
Sure. So again, extends is a keyword, okay? Extends is a keyword that is basically saying, Uma, okay, take everything that was in the superclass and just look at it this way. Extends is a very fancy way of saying copy paste. Copy everything that was in here and paste it in here. So as you can see, so basically, you know, we have to have a constructor, and I added a toString, okay? But technically, college student has a get name, a get grade, a get age, and a can vote. We just don't see it. It's extending it from there. It's basically, I like to say that extends is basically a very fancy copy and paste, with the exception of the constructor. Okay, because sometimes, as we did here, a lot of times actually, the subclass will have new variables. Always look at it this way, Uma. Whenever the subclass that is extending the superclass is always going to be more specific. You're always going to get more defined. Would you say you're more defined and more distinct than your grandparents? So you carried some traits from them that went to the father and mother, and then the father and mother, you inherited traits from them. You become basically a more refined version, a unique clone with your sets of attributes. That's what you're doing with a superclass and a subclass. I'm copying the majority of things, but then I'm making some unique changes. Okay? All right, anybody else? Alex, did you have a question? I thought I saw your hand up. Go up. Okay. How many of you felt that was pretty reasonably explained? Okay, I have a lot of my students that I tutor, like at Harvard Wesleyan and stuff like that, that they literally are absolutely confused on extension or on inheritance. And you're gonna have at least 4 multiple choice questions at minimum on inheritance. Okay. So that being said, we're gonna stop there. Next class, we're gonna go back to working with arrays. And then we're going to come back and work again more with classes. I'm going to beat classes into you, not in that type of way, okay? But like I just pound it into your skull, okay? I'm going to pound it really hard, okay, until it gets into that big brain of yours. With a person like Lance, not a lot of pounding needed, okay? But you know what? But for the most part, okay? Greek Thunder, are you good?
Yeah, I'm good. Why?
Just making sure. So you give me that blank stare again. So like you're wishing you were in Mykonos or something like that. Okay. So guys, good job. Again, be patient with me. The international students just finished their test last night. I will try, if I can't have them graded tomorrow, can you guys give me till the weekend? Is that okay? You guys know me, for the most part, I have my tests graded really, really fast. But some of you will slowly, like I'm going to start grading them tomorrow and tonight. Some of you will slowly start getting your reports emailed to you. Okay. So if you see now the other thing is this, if you see your report emailed to you, just know this. Usually what I do is I grade, send the report, and then I wait until I'm completely done grading to put everything into, into the portal. Also be happy to know if you're, most of the time, if you're a 0.5, unless I usually round up. So like, let's say you're at a 13.5, usually I give you the benefit of the doubt and just give you 14. Unless you make, like on a quiz, one of my quizzes where you made a penalty, I have to take that up. Okay. All right, guys, great class today. I'm going to have this up. My recommendation, watch this again, because I feel like I do a good job explaining inheritance. Watch it again, guys. We have the time. Ask questions. Understood? Okay. All right, guys, take care of yourself and have a great, at least a little mini day off tomorrow.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye, guys.
Bye.